Hey, we're about to start the show, and you know the drill. If you've been here before and you have something important to share, please add a capital letter Q to your comment. And if you are watching live for the first time, please let us know by writing the word new, and we'll give you a nice little welcome. Enjoy the broadcast. Ta-ta-da! Here we are. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, Larsito. I say good afternoon to Lars, who is in Copenhagen. But to everybody else, good morning. This is Coffee and Headlines. It is Wednesday, April 17, and it is a pleasure to be with you today. How is everybody doing this morning? I am happy to be here. I have all kinds of interesting questions and comments. Let me start by asking you a general question. Do you read? Do you read physical books? Do you read on your Kindle? Do you listen to audiobooks? If you want to talk about reading, write the word reading in your comments. If you don't want to talk about reading, that's perfectly fine. I want to talk about reading. I don't have to talk about reading, but just let me know exactly where you're at, and maybe we talk about reading, maybe we don't talk about reading. But what we have to talk about is a couple of news items and some interesting announcements that I want to make. So, I see a reading with an exclamation mark. I love it. Good. Well, that's at least one reading. Excellent. I like that. I think, two readings. Oh, excellent. I love it. So maybe we can talk about reading at the end of today's broadcast. In the meantime, let's get to some news and some headlines that I have collected just for you this morning. And it goes like this. First of all, it's time to announce Mexico's hot sale, which is coming back this May. This is Mexico's countrywide incentive for us to stir up the economy a bit by way of special promotions offered by a large number of e-commerce providers. Time to spend our pesitos. According to Mexico City's Ministry of Economic Development, last year's hot sale generated 2,800 million pesos in revenue, making it one of the most popular events of its kind in Mexico. The hot sale will take place this year from May 15 to 23rd, which is, of course, close enough to Mother's Day for many to take advantage of special prices to celebrate mom by way of buying gifts or trips or appliances or clothes or what do you know. I will share the link to this news note, and I will also share the link to the official hot sale website so that you can check out what promotions are available. As always, it's good to read the fine line because some of these promotions are better than others. But if you shop carefully, you might find some great deals out there that are good just for you. This news item about restaurants doing well or not doing well caught my attention, and I wanted to share it with you. According to Jorge Carvajal, who is the president of the local Restaurant Chamber of Commerce, or CANIRAC. According to him, restaurants did not fare as well as they expected during the 2 Semana Santa weeks that just came and went, and they fare not as good as in years past. Now, several thoughts come to mind here. First of all, not every restaurant in town is affiliated with the Restaurant Chamber of Commerce. In fact, there's a large number of restaurants that are not. So this statement might be a little bit biased. Then there is the experience that, we have when we go out and eat, when we go out to whatever restaurants we choose to cater to. They may or may not necessarily be affiliated with CANIRAC. So I'm asking you, if you've been out to eat in town over the past few weeks, how are things looking? Does the restaurant look very full or empty or less busy or more busy than before? And if you are a restaurant owner watching Coffee and Headlines, feel free to let us know how things are looking for you. I am just curious as to whether things are really, really bad or not bad at all, whether this is a generalized statement or not. What seems to be the case, at least from where I see in my neck of the woods, is that the number of new places to eat keeps rising. And I wonder if there's going to be a tipping point at some moment. The same thing happens with the number of condo buildings that are being built out there, many of which are very specifically targeted towards vacation property investments. But what do I know? Again, if you have been dining out, let us know in your comments. If you have a restaurant, let us know how you're doing and how we can help. As a shameless plug, our newly created weekly talk show, The Spotlight, is ideal to promote restaurants as well, particularly if you have a dated event. Maybe you wish to showcase a dish of the week, or maybe you have a specific event on a given date. Maybe you are doing a series of menus based on a local fruit, or maybe you're having a ceviche, I don't know. Or you simply want to remind us why we should give your eatery a go. Remember that The Spotlight is our new weekly talk show where we invite anybody that is organizing a dated event, an event with a date, to come live and tell us about why we should attend or participate in your event. It is completely free. All you have to do is sign up and join. Parenthetically, today is Wednesday. Today we will have The Spotlight at 4 p.m. And as of this morning, nobody has signed up to be showcased on The Spotlight. And if nobody chooses to participate, we're still going to go live. And we're still going to go live with a better explanation or more detailed explanation of how anyone can step onto The Spotlight and promote, talk about whatever it is that you're doing. I believe in my heart that this is a good idea. I've gotten confirmation from some of you viewers and some event organizers that have already participated in this Spotlight that it is a good idea. And I will easily and gladly acknowledge that for me to make the Spotlight successful requires as much promotion as for any event organizer to make their event successful. So I will continue to promote this project until I have a clear idea that it is a great idea, or until it seems like it was not. And that will be the learning experience, I suppose. But I hope even if it takes some time, it'll be successful. I have one more news item to share with you. This didn't happen here, but it totally bummed me out. Like, we don't like to feature or talk about deaths here at Coffee and Headline, but this one bummed me out. And the source article is sketchy, but this is how it went. Apparently, on April 1st, the Seapal equivalent, the waterworks equivalent for the city of Morelia, which is the capital of the state of Michoacan, released a huge amount of sewage water from their treatment plant in Santa Maria, dragging mud and several contaminants that ended up flooding the zoo and gravely affecting its inhabitants. Some of these animals developed health problems. It is unclear whether the sewage treatment plant released the caca water by accident or whether it was a delivery action in which they didn't anticipate the consequences. But the fact is that the sewage water was too much for this particular animal to handle, and studies performed this past weekend revealed that the jaguar had developed a number of health problems, including pneumonia. Sadly, cardiac arrest ended his life. Needless to say, environmental agencies are now zooming in on this devastating situation and hopefully will clarify the reasons why it happened and will follow up accordingly. And I don't know how much caca water it takes to kill an animal in a zoo, but I'm reminded of the constant problems with sewage we have here in Puerto Vallarta. And we keep our fingers crossed for these problems to get resolved at some point. Let us take a look at the weather. Let me set it up on my other screen just to see what's going on out there. I always get the best sleep when I'm in court for a criminal trial, says snarky weatherman. I wonder what he could be referring to. No comment. 25 degrees out there right now. Humidity is at 62%. And our weather forecast for today, let's have a look. Mostly clear skies, but a few clouds may be wandering around. We're going to have a high of 28 and a low of 17 today. Then tomorrow, Thursday, clear skies throughout the day with a high of 27 and a low of 17. And then Friday, clear skies throughout the day with a high of 28 and a low of 17. That is the weather forecast for the next 3 days. We can feel the heat and humidity, of course, and yesterday, to try to alleviate the symptoms just a little bit, we went to the movies. I'll talk about that experience in a second. But first, I have a question for you. This is just out of curiosity. Every morning, sometime between 9:30 and 10 o'clock in the morning, I pre-announce coffee and headlines. I have learned not too long ago that whenever I don't pre-announce, some of you get a little bit concerned along the lines of, where is Paco? Is he okay? But this is what it looks like on Facebook. But the reason I show you this is, and I know that you go to this page and when it's live, it shows up that you can join the live broadcast. But I wonder how many of you have noticed that if you scroll down, you get details, including a little summary of the things that I am going to be talking about on any given day. Now, because I don't see this from your point of view, I don't know that you're all aware of this, and that's lovely. Or maybe you don't know. But every day, for example, for this morning, I wrote, some restaurants didn't fare so well during Semana Santa. A jaguar died in Morelia zoo due to caca water. Hot sale is coming. Plus, excuse me, may I borrow your Hollow Earth map? And that was my description of what you can expect this morning. So I'm just curious as to whether you see these announcements or not, and whether they make a difference to you or not, or whether you even knew that they were there. And if you didn't, well, you learned something new today. I also want to tell you that I had a lovely conversation this morning with my dear friend Memo Lira of Vallarta 101. So I'd like to give it a shout out to his ongoing silent disco walks, which I haven't had a chance to go to, which I hope we'll be able to go to as a Coffee and Headlines mini group before they wrap it up on May 30th. But in addition to the silent disco walk, he continues with a variety of walking experiences throughout the city, some of which are all inclusive, which means that you pay for the experience, and some of others are pay whatever you want. Memo happened to mention to me this morning that some folks from Coffee and Headlines had contacted him to participate on his taco tour either today or sometime in the near future. So that means to me, well, first of all, that means that you are letting people know how you're finding out about things, which is so wonderful to me, because this means that we're closing circles together when it comes to incentivize our connections with each other and with what our destination has to offer. And it also is one of the reasons why I will continue to promote the spotlight until it becomes popular, or until I'm certain that it's not worthwhile. But I'm glad that Memo told me this morning that this was taking place. And as long as we're doing shout outs, here's another one along the same lines. I'd like to give a shout out to our friend Paul Christ from Hotel Mercurio, because of his ongoing live music Thursdays, where you can combine enjoying great food, live music, and there's a swimming pool in which you can stay cool all at the same time. Well, maybe you don't go into the pool with food in your mouth, or you don't eat in the pool, but this is a great opportunity to see what performers are in town, excuse me, and get a taste of their skill set. So this happens at Hotel Mercurio every Thursday from 4:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. Give it a go. Nice pool, great food, and great music, I'm sure. And last but not least, as I mentioned yesterday, we went to see this movie of King Kong versus Godzilla. And I had a blast, not so much because the movie was a masterpiece. The movie was entertaining, but I had a blast, first of all, because I was with my friends. Secondly, because it is a Tuesday show, and Tuesdays, Cinepolis is always a 2-for-1, which is a great deal. Third reason, because it was air conditioned. It was wonderful. And last but not least, I already mentioned my friends, right? Last but not least, because I don't know much about the Monsterverse. Like, I didn't even know there is such a thing as a Monsterverse, which is the franchise that features Godzilla and King Kong and other monsters. I didn't know there's such a thing as Hollow Earth. And I found out that there is something like Hollow Earth Heights, and then there's a portion of Hollow Earth that has not yet been discovered or explored. I keep thinking to myself, we're going to need a Hollow Earth map. Then there's Nuevo Hollow Earth, and of course, I'm making that up. But you know, the last time I went to San Sebastián del Oeste, there was a real estate sign that said, "Welcome to Nuevo San Sebastián," and I thought to myself, give me a fucking break. But I digress. The reason I talk about this is because the movie will be entertaining if you didn't know about all these monsters and how they're related to each other. And if you didn't and want to do some homework ahead of time, I did happen to find a lovely Wikipedia page that describes not only all of this universe or monsterverse, but it also features a chronology of movies that you should watch to become an expert. Of course, I was bummed out because my favorite monster of all times is not part of the franchise, and that would be this adorable red monster. If you don't know this red monster, you know, oh my goodness, this takes me back ages, but this red monster is the best monster in the world. And if you know the red monster, let me know. All I have to tell you is that monsters are such interesting people, and I am quoting Bugs Bunny, and why not? So, there you have it. That's what I have for you. What do you have for me today? Let's see what you have for me today. Ba-dum-bum-bum. Oh, reading. My God, reading. Reading. Well, we'll talk about reading after I look at your comments. Because not everybody wants to talk about reading, I'm sure. Let's see. Oh, look at you. Albert is back from Oaxaca. Can't wait to hear about your adventures, Albert. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Thank you for the sunny yellow shirt. Thank you for the comment. This is the same yellow shirt that I wore to the movies yesterday. I usually do that. Too much information, I know. Sometimes yesterday afternoon shirt becomes Coffee and Headlines morning shirt the day after. Then it goes quickly into the dirty clothes hamper. But you didn't ask for that information. It just fell off my mouth. A bunch of you are saying reading, and when I'm done with your comments, I will tell you why I want to bring this up. But I'm happy to see that Pat's first choice is audiobooks. I like audiobooks as well. Luisa is reading RuPaul's Style. Fascinating. Kelly reads mostly biographies and true stories. Lovely. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Let's see. Oh, yes. Yes, Gary. I saw this. I saw this as well. How very sad. This was on a newspaper from Mexico City that the historic exchange in Copenhagen burnt down. I don't know that it burnt to the ground, or I don't know how serious it is, but it was definitely a devastating thing. Let's see. Lisa's coming to town. Lisa, what are you bringing? What are you bringing? Not for me, but what are you bringing that you didn't have before? What are you putting in your suitcase that you thought, this time I want to bring this with me? Let us know. Deborah chimes in on the restaurant thing. I thank you very much for that. I see many restaurants with less business, I think for two reasons. Many more restaurants and higher prices. You know, I have to agree with you, Deborah, which also makes me think, does this mean that we have to, as consumers, become smarter about the restaurants we choose to go to? Let me know your thoughts. Kelly says, I eat most of my meals out. I don't like cooking for myself. That's fair. Jonathan announces that Café des Artistas will start serving lunch on May 15. That's good to know. I didn't know that they stopped serving lunch, but that's a good bit of news for those people that enjoy Café des Artistas. Laura says, Bravo's PB restaurant, always busy, great service, great food, and great prices. Well, you know, Laura, I have had several conversations with owner Michael Buford about this, and Michael has told me a number of times that he chooses to keep his profit low by not raising his prices as much as other restaurants, because that results in full houses on a consistent basis. So maybe that is a lesson to be learned by other restaurants. I can attest to the fact that Bravos and Siam are usually busy, and we are happy for Michael for that. This is another interesting one. Went to Toscana Mia Saturday. The place was packed. As usual, prices were up a bit to reflect inflation. Also went to Masala in La Cruz de Guanacaste on Sunday. Very busy, as you can bring your own wine on Sunday without a corkage fee. Sorry for the itchy nose. So there you have it. Some restaurants are doing fine. Other restaurants are not so much. Thank you for that feedback. Much appreciated. And Christy, I knew this would resonate with you. Christy says, of course, hate to hear about critters dying needlessly. Important to get the word out for awareness. You know, I love whatever YouTube chooses to randomly serve me every day when I use YouTube. But when I see videos that have to do with cruelty, animal cruelty, I always struggle with that. So hopefully a solution will be found for this very lamentable situation. Chris chimes in my personal opinion, restaurants on average haven't done good given the increasing prices and in many cases reduced amounts served with a price increase. I didn't notice this with the many street vendors that we support. Here's a question. And again, this goes to restaurants that are out there that may be watching. Could it also be that in the past, restaurants have not had such competition that it required for restaurants to make more noise on their behalf? And this happens also with performers and any type of business. All of a sudden, with so many restaurants, could it be that a restaurant is used to not having to make as much noise and now they have no other choice but to look at themselves? I mean, I don't know because I'm not a restaurant owner, but I know that the more choices we have to go places, the less likely it is that we will go back to the same place as before, unless it is a favorite place. Question. The feed keeps shorting out. I don't know what that means. I don't know if you mean this broadcast, but the feed keeps shorting out. It is an open statement. Maybe you're talking about restaurants, Jonathan. I don't know what you're talking about. So please feel free to clarify. And if there's something we can react to, we will be happy to react to it. Pat says, regarding restaurants, I saw them drop off at the end of Semana de Pascua. Local places seem back to a slower pace, and I feel very welcomed. There you go. I hate to accept the reality that when some people that like to go out leave the city, things get slower, but I guess it is a reality that we all need to deal with. So let's see what else. Vicky says, I see the summary. Thank you. Sherry says, I never scrolled down, but thanks for the heads up. Ah, there you go. And Mark says, I always read the preview. I love it. So, and Albert says, I see the announcements and I like them. There you go. So now you know that there's another way for you to find out what's coming on any given episode of or broadcast of Coffee and Headlines. Andrea says, I appreciate the announcements. They're not going away. For me, it's a no-brainer to make them happen. I was just curious as to whether you even knew they were there. Mihal, thank you for making me laugh yesterday, and I'm glad that you look at the summary. Ooh, and Pat's going to the Silent Disco Walk on Thursday. I kind of wanted to go, but I have a previous engagement. Our friend Daniel House, who is in Puerto Vallarta, and I are going to meet to talk about broadcasting and tech tips and all that good stuff. As you know, Daniel does what I do. He puts together live broadcasts, but he does it for fabulous people like Oprah Winfrey. And I do it for fabulous locals from Puerto Vallarta like you. So there you have it. We just have different target markets. Let's see what else. I haven't forgotten about reading. I noticed that if I don't click on interested, I don't get a notification of the podcast. Yes, that is the case, Liz. The reason is when the announcements for each broadcast are made, Facebook converts them into events. And one of the advantages of using events, both for event organizers and for us as consumers, is that if you click on interested, Facebook will send you a reminder that something is happening. So if you're an event organizer, this is one of the reasons why I'm constantly saying use the free Facebook events, because your target audience can click on interested and they will be reminded of it. Pirim pum pum pum. Shirley Gonser says, Lars in Denmark, Shirley, are you Lars's friend Shirley that he always talks about? If you are, It's nice to meet you. He always tells me that he goes on adventures with you. And I see Lars sending a big hug, which is either for you or it's for me or for anyone. Lars's hugs are universal. So everybody consider yourselves hugged by Larsito. Andrea knows the red monsters. Monsters are such interesting people. And Mark definitely remembers the red monster. I mean, that has to be one of my favorite Bugs Bunny cartoons. That monster. Love that monster. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Ronnie goes back to reading. I just finished Love in the Time of Cholera and Barbara, as in Streisand. And Ronnie likes audiobooks. I think we are getting to reading. There may be other comments about restaurants. Ronnie says, restaurants are now too expensive. I rarely go out to eat anymore. And thank you for that, Michael. Correct, Paco, without any punctuation. I don't know if this means, hey, bitches, correct Paco and correct him now. Or it means that I am saying the right thing. I don't know what I'm saying. But correct Paco sounds like a good idea. Especially yesterday. Oh my God, you guys made me laugh so much. Because my friends who usually poke fun at me and they do it innocently. The joke yesterday afternoon was that I kept referring to Suburbia as Soriana when I talked about the new clothing store. And I said to them, I just pulled a little Trump. We should all go buy our clothes at Obama, the new store. Anyhow, that's just a little moment. Let's see. Oh my God, look at all these comments. I love it. Okay, I think we're getting to the end. Paco, is there any special treats from Canada that you would like me to bring? Coffee crisps. Coffee crisps or cotton yarn. Coffee crisps I love. And where did that voice come from? Oh, I amuse myself. Here's why I'm talking about reading. And let me get rid of the in fact, let me just go back to here where there's no music. My attention span is terrible. And maybe it's because I'm getting old or I'm getting forgetful. I don't know what it is, but I'm determined to read again. I don't read as much as I used to. I'm talking about books. It's increasingly difficult for me to latch onto television series. But I'm determined to read. So something interesting happened. I realized that, oh my God, pothead moment. Okay. Apple TV has announced a new series called Dark Matter that is coming up at the end of May. And this is based on a bestseller by a writer called Blake Crouch. And Blake Crouch writes the most amazing thriller novels that involve techno and sci-fi stuff, which is something that I enjoy very much. So I said to myself, Paco, just read the novel before the series starts. And the way I went about it is I went and purchased the audiobook and put it on my phone. And I said to myself, Paco, you need to walk more. So just go out with your headphones and listen to a fucking book and detach yourself from coffee and headlines for a moment. Don't take it personally, you out there. But sometimes whenever I'm walking out in the city, I'm always thinking about what can I share with you? What can I bring you? So I'm always distracted. I'm always looking everywhere. But I need times in which it's just me and my book. And all I want to say is it's working. It's working. And I want to read more. And I want you to ask me, how is my book going? And I want to ask you, how are you doing if your attention span is getting smaller? How do you read? How do you keep yourself focused? Because I think this is happening to all of us to a certain extent as a society. And it's definitely happening to me as a gentleman of age, as a senior card holder. So all I wanted to say is if you're having a hard time reading or focusing, you're not alone. And I want to hear how you're going about it. I want to hear how you set up special time of your day or your week to say, this is me time. I'm going to read a book and I'm going to repeat to myself what I remember of it when I put it down, so that when I come back to it, it is still there like a good friend. So that's my little thing about reading. I want to continue reading. I want to continue walking, and if we need to morally support one another doing it, that's great. And if we don't, maybe we don't need to talk about this again here at Coffee and Headlines. And that was my 2 cents about reading. Now, I think we can wrap this up. I don't see. Oh, Lisa, you are the bestest. Can I trade coffee crisps for a crocheted item? How about that? That way, you'll gift me something and I gift you something. Let's see. Oh, some comments are coming in. I love it. Senior card holder here. I have to turn off TV, computer, other electronics. Enjoy sitting outside on patio. Birds as my only distraction from reading. You know what I'm doing, Vicky? I have clunky headphones. And what I'm doing is I am sitting on my chair or lying on my bed with the clunky headphones on, listening to my audiobook, because I know that I won't fall asleep. And I have an application on my phone that allows, just in case I fall asleep, it shuts down the audiobook after the end of each chapter. And that is one feature that means a lot to me, because it is horrible when you're reading an audiobook and you fall asleep and all of a sudden you wake up and the audiobook is over and you have no way of remembering where you left off. So that's my 2 little cents on that. Let's see. Deb says, decided to get back to reading also. Hopefully the little library at my condo building is stocked. Awesome. Pat says, I love the reading encouragement. Thank you, Pat. I love talking about these things. You know what? I want to get into the habit of reading more books that are going to be turned into series or movies. And one of those books is 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. And it's coming on Netflix sometime soon. Kathy mentions, I just flop down on the bed and read instead of scrolling on the iPad. I hear ya. I just sometimes fall asleep. So there you go. Small steps. And I think with small steps, let's start the small step of wrapping this up. I thank you for a very conversational Coffee and Headlines today. I really appreciate that. Again, any effort that you can put forth in helping me promote the Spotlight, our new Wednesday live broadcast, would be seriously appreciated. If we have a nice guest today, that'll be awesome. If not, I will still be live just to talk about it, and with a little bit of faith and a little bit of patience, hopefully we'll make it take off. Have a great day, and if I don't see you this afternoon, I'll see you again soon. Take care.